X is currently blowing up at the moment because Tucker Carlson decided to have Nick Fuentes on his show, a known anti Semite and a known Nazi sympathizer who actually said that Hitler was awesome. Those are Nick's words, not mine. And more than that, the interview went exactly how you think it would have gone. Tucker Carlson lobbing all these like really softball questions, acting like he doesn't know anything, which he actually doesn't know anything, believe it or not. The more I actually listen to Tucker Carlson, the more I realize just how much of a dingbat and not much is going upstairs. But yet so many people actually listen to him because that's, well, like his audience. Most people that listen to Tucker Carlson a lot, and same with Candace Owens, don't really have much going upstairs. Because if you did have something going on upstairs, you'd actually go to someone that pushes back a little bit more. And, well, X is melting down because Tucker decided to platform the likes of Nick Fuentes, who is a known anti-Semite, a known racist, and also someone that claims that he loves Hitler or Hitler was awesome. Those are Nick's words, not mine. And, well, people were saying, most people on the right are saying that this needs to stop. Tucker Carlson needs to stop platforming these sorts of people. Charlie Kirk would never platform Nick Fuentes. And look, everyone has the right, because they've got a platform, to platform whoever they want. Doesn't make it right to platform someone, but it is at the end of the day your choice, and we do have freedom of speech. But if you are going to platform someone, then you have freedom of speech too to push back. Use your speech to combat their speech. If their speech is hateful, if their speech is like really disgusting and vile and evil, then use your speech to combat it. That's why we have debates, or at least why we should have debates. And I'm a free speech absolutist. I'd much rather you say something, even though I disagree vehemently with it, because then I know where you stand on certain matters. And people calling for Tucker Carlson to be cancelled and all that sort of stuff, I don't agree with, right? I personally think that Tucker is just showing his true colors, and people need to have more brains about them and go, well, the solution here is not to do what the left does, and that's cancel them. The solution here is to go, we need more speech to destroy the speech of Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. We need more people that actually have common sense and brains about them to go, well, what Tucker said is actually horrible, and what Nick Fuentes said is horrible, and here's why. Now, I want to show you this clip before I end up showing you this one moment that I could not stand from the Tucker Carlson moment, which will make your blood boil, believe you me. It's from Seth Dillon. This is exactly what I just said a moment ago, but Seth Dillon explains it a little bit better than I do. Have a watch.
About where I'm coming from on this, because a lot of people have tried to misconstrue and dishonestly portray me as being in favor of censorship, which, no one's more against censorship than I am. I have fought for free speech every step of the way. I fought for free speech, not just for myself and for my own company, but for people who I disagree with, people who I think have terrible ideas, people who, a lot of people would like to see censored. I have gone on record saying I would like to see their voices in the public square because, no one should be able to decide what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. As long as your speech is lawful, you should be allowed to talk in the public square. And so, I was one of the first ones and one of the most vocal ones who was coming out in favor of Nick Fuentes being restored on Twitter when he was suspended. And I did that for a reason. It was on principle. It's not because I like what he has to say. It's because I love that he has the right to say it. And so, defending that right is very important to me. And so it's not a matter of, should he be allowed to speak? Of course he should. Sit down with him, have an interview with him, have a conversation with him. That's fine. But challenge and confront the things that he says. If you disagree with his ideas, if you think that he's got some bad ideas or he has some beliefs that you don't share, challenge him on that, confront him on that. That's how the marketplace of ideas really works, is when you have the bad ideas and the good ideas come together and they clash. And so if you're not willing to do that, if you're just having people on and saying, and for the sake of free speech, I'm going to have this conversation, but I'm not going to challenge them, well, in that case, all you're really doing is normalizing or mainstreaming more radical and extreme ideas without them getting the pushback and the confrontation that they deserve. And the only assumption, the only conclusion that we can draw from that is that you agree with those ideas if you're not willing to challenge them. And so if you don't want to be mistaken for holding those views yourself, then you should take that opportunity when you have it. Be the free speech advocate who gives them a voice, but then use your own speech to push back on that voice when you disagree with it.
I think we've lost the ability in today's day and age because of social media and this conditioning. And I've spoke about it a number of times on other videos. We've got this problem nowadays whereby people have forgotten, well, not really forgotten, but they're being conditioned to not really critically think. And so what is just in front of them, they will immediately go, I like this. They're not really doing too much in-depth thinking. There's not really much going on up here. They're just taking whatever they're seeing at face value, which is actually pretty dangerous. So when you got someone like Tucker who's signed a platform, Nick Fuentes, and they're listening to the podcast and Tucker's not really pushing back on anything that Nick is saying. There's not really much going on. Like, I disagree with you on this. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Tell me more. Then you're not really doing much good for the public space, if you ask me. You're not really doing any critical thinking, and you got lots of people that have vulnerable minds that will listen to it and go, well, I love this. This is actually correct. Even though it's not correct, they will still go, I think this is great. Now, when you are not pushing back and you are just letting that person talk with no pushback whatsoever, you are just enhancing the evil idea. You are platforming the evil idea only and just letting it spread like wildfire, which I think is wrong. I think it's dangerous. And it's something that Charlie Kirk spoke quite a number of times about. And he spoke about Nick Fuentes and how he was vermin. He would never, ever platform someone like Nick Fuentes. And it seems like after Charlie's death, Nick Fuentes has somehow gone more mainstream with not much pushback at all. Even the Patrick Bet-David interview, there wasn't really much pushback from Patrick at all. It's just more like, get to know Nick Fuentes. And, well, Nick Fuentes shares his thoughts on certain things, which gives him more of a voice. It gives his ideas and beliefs more of a hateful voice. And the thing is, in today's day and age, hate loves a voice, doesn't it? Hate is amplified. And if we're not careful, then we're going to amplify that voice even more. Now, I have shared videos and I have agreed with certain things that Nick has said. And then I will say, I disagree on this, and this. I would never platform on my show in particular someone like Nick Fuentes. And I've got my reasons behind why I would never platform someone like Nick Fuentes, mainly because I don't like the confrontation of interviews. I like just having conversations with people. I think that's very important. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't push back. I definitely would push back. But these days, I tend to just do these sorts of videos. I don't really do interviews anymore, even though I started this entire show doing interviews, and I was like learning a lot. And today's day and age, like, I think it's important that we still do interviews. I still think that it's important that we have voices in the public square. And if someone says something really hateful, really vile, like Candy Owens, Tucker Carlson, and even Nick Fuentes, and they're very bad faith, then we have the obligation to call them out. We have the duty, because we're not going to be any different from the left, right? We're actually going to make things a lot worse, considering how hateful these people actually are. Now, having said all that, Tucker Carlson said something during the interview, or more the, wasn't really much of an interview, but more the relaxed conversation with Nick Fuentes that I think everyone needs to pay attention to. Tucker Carlson says that he despises Charlie Kirk. You know why? Because Charlie Kirk was a Christian Zionist, and Tucker Carlson had this to say about Christian Zionists.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot like that, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all, George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally who I've seen like be seized by this brain virus, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians, and then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I can just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody, because like what? Because it's Christian heresy and I'm offended by that as a Christian. That's why. So I don't like, why not? Like I'm pissed at the neocons, very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq. And so like I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz because that seemed like there's a sitting senator who's like serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG, who's like the most sincere like why not go after Ted Cruz?
Literally calling Charlie Kirk a heretic whom he despised, who also had a mind virus. Charlie Kirk was a Christian Zionist. This is disgusting. Not to mention he is saying this while interviewing Nick Fuentes, clear Trump hater and anti-Semite and Nazi. That's from Brandon Tatum. And this is also someone like Tucker Carlson, for example, that Turning Point USA props up and puts out on stages to educate the young minds. So I think we've got to do something if we really want to keep conservatism at the forefront. We have a choice. We have to put boundaries in place with people such as Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes because they've made their stances abundantly clear where they stand on matters such as Israel. And I think Israel is very important. But Tucker Carlson then saying that he despises or really dislikes Christian Zionists because apparently it's heresy. Even though Tucker has not actually read his damn Bible, maybe he should read the Bible a bit more. Maybe he should open it up and actually turn to certain verses. I made a number of videos talking about how Israel is God's chosen people and why Christians should actually support Israel and how the end times, Israel is very, very important. But of course, Tucker doesn't seem to care too much about that at all. And I think it's really disgusting how Charlie Kirk, he himself would never platform Nick Fuentes because he called Nick Fuentes vermin and Nick Fuentes attacked Charlie Kirk as well. And Nick Fuentes has also attacked Tucker Carlson, calling him out. And then now he's been platformed. Now his ideas are being spread like wildfire in the mainstream of conservatism. And this is not the sort of person we want to align with because their values and their beliefs do not align with what it means to be a Christian, a true Christian that follows the Bible, for goodness sake, or even just conservatism in general. They're not conserving any of the traditional values that we as conservatives hold or Christians hold. And when you have someone that is saying that he despises Christian Zionists, that should be sending alarm bells to everyone. I don't know any other way to read this than that Tucker Carlson is saying he hated Charlie Kirk. I don't know how Tucker is parsing the phrase, Christian Zionist, but Charlie was a Christian and a Zionist, and his Christianity seems to have greatly informed his Zionism. Tucker Carlson, ever since the Qatari money started flowing in, his guest list has been Canny Owens, a one-eyebrow Palestinian nun spewing hate and lies about Israel, Alex Jones, a blonde guy rambling about Kabbalah, Anna Kasparian, Nazi sympathizer Darryl Cooper, an episode claiming Netanyahu bragged about controlling Trump, a 9/11 conspiracy theorist blaming Israel, an episode about the Ashkenazi Jews are immune to COVID, Himmler, Goebbels, the list goes on and on. But sure, it's just a coincidence, right? Sure, it just seems like Tucker is deciding to platform whoever he wants, but no one like Ben Shapiro, for example. It's like he's afraid of Ben Shapiro, but yet he has on Nick Fuentes. Seems like Tucker is platforming those that he agrees with more than those that he does not. Because if he agrees with you, he doesn't have to do any pushback. I mean, he interviewed the Iranian president not that long ago and even Vladimir Putin, and there was no pushback whatsoever. Softball. How about that? Now, Charlie Kirk went after Dinesh D'Souza before he died because Dinesh did a debate with Nick Fuentes. And look, I can understand where Charlie was coming from, but I actually agree with Dinesh on this one. I think because for freedom of speech sake, we should be allowed to debate people because Dinesh actually wiped the floor with Nick Fuentes. That was clear. Alex Jones was the moderator of that debate, if you guys remember that. But Turning Point needs to make a decision because they've got a massive platform like we all do, right? And they are choosing to platform these sorts of people that don't really espouse the right kind of values, I think, that Charlie Kirk espoused. I don't think Turning Point USA under Charlie Kirk would have ever allowed Nick Fuentes to be platformed at all. But then again, it's something that Charlie Kirk kept his friends accountable for. He didn't stop them from doing anything, but he really let them know, this is what I think about what you're doing. It's wrong, and here's why it's wrong. So anyway, like I know so many people are like, like this whole, you can't platform him. I disagree with them. I think you should platform people. I mean, it's your choice at the end of the day. We can't stop you, but you've got to be very careful. And I always go back to what Douglas Murray quite oftentimes points out, and that is why. Why do you want to have this person on in the first place? What benefit are they going to give you aside from you getting lots and lots of views, which equals money? Which, if that's the case, shame on you because you've sold your soul. Or is this really about furthering ideas in the landscape? And what ideas do you want to further? Makes you think, right? But then again, I also think that in today's landscape, we've lost the ability to critically think, which is sad. I think it's time that we get it back. Don't you? Anyway, that's enough from me. You guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.